Hi, I'm Natasha,
And I'm Cassandra.
and this is Strange Sisters. Today is our first of probably many UFO or alien related podcasts, and this is probably one of the first things that caught my attention as a young child, other than ghosts. I think ghosts was probably the first thing because my dad talked about them pretty much our whole lives, and we grew up in a haunted house, so that was always top of mind. But I was always really intrigued by aliens growing up, and that especially became so when I started watching Third Rock from the Sun, because it just really pointed out how strange humans actually are, and like
Right.
how an alien race would be like, why do you do these things? So that's what really first piqued my interest, and I know Cassandra had a totally different thought when she thought about them.
Same thought process, different direction. So I was also always interested in ghosts and aliens. My thought process went to Scooby-Doo and Alien Invaders.
I don't remember that episode. I know you said it was around the same time as like Zombie Island and some of those other movies.
It had this hippie girl who ended up being an alien, and her dog was an alien, and they were dating Shaggy and Scooby. Very cute.
Oh, yeah, okay, I do kind of remember that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, her name was Crystal. She had an orange shirt.
Yeah.
I remember that very vividly. I'm sitting next to I've got my Scooby-Doo trading cards that I used to collect next to me, and I picked it up, and the first one was Crystal.
Scooby Doo trading cards. I think that says it all.
Oh, that's worse than my tattoo.
Oh my god. I would say yeah, that is worse than the tattoo.
I mean, Mom bought them for me when I was young. It's not like I'm actively buying them. I have
Oh,
actively
okay.
looked for them, but I don't think they sell them anymore.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, you can probably buy them on eBay for like $100 or something.
I already did that with the Emily the Strange perfume.
Oh, that was great perfume though.
Expensive, great perfume. Or
Yeah,
Hot Topic
yeah.
perfume.
It was like black rose scented.
The
Yeah.
one I have is I can't. It's in the back of my room somewhere. I saved it for my wedding. I
Yeah,
think that says more.
I think black rose was the only scent, wasn't it?
No, yours was Black Rose. Mine was, I think, Sweet Revenge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah, so we really had normal childhoods, everybody. It's totally fine.
Yeah, well, what that really says is that we shopped at Hot Topic a lot. I think that's
Or
pretty
as
clear.
Mom called it, the scary store. I mean, I've still got those boots.
Oh my god. Those boots will haunt our family for the rest of our lives.
And that's the goal.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back to aliens.
Yeah.
The first case that we're going to cover happened in Michigan in 1994, which was the year that Cassandra was born. So,
Makes sense.
just a lot of weird stuff going on that year. In the early hours of March 8th, 1994, now retired meteorologist Jack Bushong was working a routine shift at the National Weather Service office in Muskegon, Michigan, when a strange call came in. A dispatcher from Ottawa County had been receiving reports of unusual lights in the sky, and they wanted to know if anything was showing up on the weather radar. Little did Bushong know he was about to witness something that is still unexplained to this day. More than 100 people across the region had spotted bizarre lights in the night sky, and soon Bushong was manually scanning the radar, trying to locate the source. What he found was unlike anything he'd ever seen before. The objects were moving so fast, he recalled, and then just as quickly, two more appeared on the radar. There was hardly any time to describe where they were before they shifted again. Bushong watched as one of the objects hovered at around 100 miles per hour, then shot straight up, rapidly climbing 5,000 and then 10,000 feet. At one point, one of them reached about 30,000 to 40,000 feet, he said, describing the surreal radar blips. His observations were confirmed by a nearby police officer who reported seeing the same object with his own eyes.
So that must be huge, though. I mean, I can't fathom 40,000 feet. But if
Well,
someone saw it with the naked eye,
yeah, I mean, I think you would just see it going up so fast. Airplanes, I think, fly between 30 and 40,000 feet.
hmm.
So it is like, airplane height. But we'll get into why they think it wasn't an airplane, obviously, other than the fact that it's going straight up, which
Yeah.
airplanes tend to not do. I mean, they can, right? Like the ones that simulate zero gravity, I think they do go straight up and then straight down. But yeah, there are other reasons that they don't think it was an airplane.
Gotcha.
The radar wasn't showing just one object anymore, it was revealing a whole formation. Bushong saw a triangle pattern of three objects, one closer to the radar and the other two spread out across a 20-mile stretch, one near the shore of Lake Michigan and the other further inland. They kept moving in a geometric pattern, jumping from one spot to the next, Bushong said. Sometimes they would hover, other times they would zip across the sky at incredible speeds. The objects were reaching altitudes close to 60,000 feet at the time, which Bushong said ruled out the possibility of radar interference from nearby ground clutter, a common radar anomaly. This wasn't weather data, this was something else. As the objects drifted over southern Lake Michigan, the radar revealed a larger group of stationary objects, some moving slowly between the others. Bushong stayed on the radar for over 2 hours, documenting the phenomenon, but the mystery deepened when he called the FAA control tower at the Muskegon County Airport. The air traffic controller reported spotting 3 aircraft in formation, but strangely, they had no transponder codes, making their identification impossible. So I think any other aircraft, on Earth would have a transponder code. So
Yeah.
that also was a red flag or a green flag, depending on how you look at it.
Well, and imagine 2 hours. This guy's just like, something's going on. Don't know what it is.
Yeah, and they're kind of all over the place. They're bouncing all over. They're shooting up and coming down, and just very unusual. Like most, I don't think planes would do that very often. And if
Yeah,
they did, it would probably be something related to like a space mission. Um, I guess it could be something that we're not aware of, some kind of testing or something like that. But usually, I think even in the situations where they don't want civilians to be aware of stuff, they'll come up with some excuse, right, to tell the news. Like,
that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, they would have a backup plan.
like, oh, we were testing this weather balloon or something like that.
Ugh, it's so
And then,
strange.
yeah, it's always a weather balloon.
And yet the weather is never right,
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's where it all falls apart.
especially as, we've grew up in upstate New York. The weather's not real.
Yeah, it changes so quickly from even within a few hours. It can go from like 80 to like 40, or it can be sunny and 70 one day, and the next day it's like 20 degrees and snowing.
Yeah. That's why I always had like extra outfits in my car because I never knew what the weather was going to be.
Yeah, that's definitely a place where you layer.
Yeah.
In the days that followed, the National Weather Service and local authorities played down the event. They didn't want to be seen as a UFO hotline, Bushon explained, sharing that he wasn't allowed to speak to the media at the time either. The local press picked up the story, and by March 11th, the National Weather Service acknowledged a fast moving phenomenon over Lake Michigan, which had been observed by both radar and numerous eyewitnesses. Some even reported seeing red and green lights performing erratic maneuvers. As the report spread, more than 300 people from 42 counties across Michigan came forward, describing similar sightings. What started as one night of strange activity turned into a full blown UFO flap. Despite the attention, the National Weather Service dismissed the radar data, stating that their equipment wasn't designed to track aircraft, which, duh, like obviously, right?
Yeah.
Let alone UFOs. Some speculated that the lights might have been caused by top secret military craft, while others attributed the sightings to mass hysteria or social contagion, which, of course, that does happen.
Well, yeah,
Um,
but it's not like everybody knew everybody else was seeing it.
Yeah, and it's over 42 counties, so it's not like one town, it's like a whole freaking state. That's a little different, I think.
Yeah, and it's not like people are Snapchatting it to each other. Like,
True, this was before social media, so some people could have talked about it over the phone, but I doubt they were having, like, town hall meetings about, "Okay, let's all get on the same page about what we saw that night." It
yeah,
was
it's not like
individual accounts.
Taylor from Gilmore Girls is sitting everybody down in the entire town.
Yeah. Town meeting. Yeah.
Plus, like, even with the Salem witch trials, which was known for mass hysteria, it took a long time. Like, it took multiple days for that to kind of
Mhm.
set in.
Yeah, and that was just one town, so
Yeah.
and there was a lot fewer people back then, so yeah, this is just a very different situation. But of course, they're trying to downplay it because they don't want to make it into a whole big thing, especially when they can't explain it.
And I feel like it would be so much easier if they just kind of let people go because they would convince themselves, eventually that it wasn't real.
Yeah, that's true. But them denying it, I think, makes it even more
Interesting.
like, yeah, and more like, what are they trying to cover up? So then it turns into like a government cover up kind of thing.
Exactly.
And in the years that followed, UFO investigators like the Mutual UFO Network sifted through hundreds of eyewitness accounts. They ruled out common explanations like small planes, weather balloons, or even military craft. The group could find no rational earthly explanation for what had occurred that night. In 2021, on the 27th anniversary of the sightings, Bushong reflected on the event, noting that he felt vindicated by the US government's recent release of UFO related reports. The Muskegon UFO Incident was even featured in a 2022 episode of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix, continuing to captivate the public and soak in the mystery of what really happened over Lake Michigan that night. So, what did Jack Bushong and so many others witness on March 8th, 1994? Was it a weather anomaly, a military experiment, or something far stranger? Despite years of investigation, the answer remains elusive. We'll probably never know unless they come back. The UFOs come back and the aliens come down. They're like, oh, hey, we haven't seen you guys in 30 years or
Yeah, 30
whatever.
years.
Yeah. How's it going?
Hey, we were talking about Mothman in the other one, and we thought it sounded like he was coming around every 30 years. Maybe there's an overlap.
Yeah, maybe. Something to do with electric fields on the earth or whatever.
Something.
Yeah, who knows? And the next one we're going to talk about is, I would say, just as credible because it happened to people in the military and it was spotted on the USS Nimitz in 2004. So this took place in November 2004 when now retired U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich had an encounter that would change the course of her life and one that still gets talked about today. It happened during a routine training mission on the USS Nimitz, as I mentioned, off the coast of Southern California. Dietrich and her commanding officer, David Fravor, were sent to investigate some strange radar contacts. Things were moving in ways that just didn't make sense. But what they found was even more bizarre: an oblong white object resembling a giant Tic Tac speeding over the ocean with no visible means of propulsion. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen before.
When you say resembling a giant Tic Tac without. So it's kind of like a blimp minus the little circle engine room at the bottom? Like that's what it looked like?
Yeah, like there was no propeller or anything. Like it was literally just shaped like a giant Tic Tac,
Oh, okay.
which is it kind of makes sense. I guess it could be kind of like aerodynamic. I don't really know a lot about that, but
Yeah, I have no idea.
it's different than other shapes that you usually hear about, right? With UFOs, it's not like it's like a disc or that's a really unique shape.
Yeah, other than aerodynamic, I can't really imagine the benefits of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I
I don't know
mean,
the benefits of how UFOs are other known to be shaped.
yeah, right. We're not clear on any of that. So maybe Lance can come on and talk to us about physics one day.
Oh god, please no. You and Lance can
Um,
have an episode. Me and John will take our own episode.
okay. Johns will just be talking shit the whole time.
Yeah,
But
vibes. Me and John will vibe out.
oh my gosh. Okay. When Fravor attempted to engage the object, it responded in ways that left both pilots completely baffled. It had no wings, no engines, and no way to explain how it was moving. The encounter became known as the Tic Tac Incident, and now, years later, footage of it was included in a government report, along with two other declassified Navy videos from 2015, all showing similar mysterious encounters. Dietrich, who's now a mom of three, has had to navigate the intense media spotlight that followed. She's done interviews on 60 Minutes and the Discovery Channel, and journalists have been calling nonstop. But through it all, her message has stayed the same. We don't know what it was, but it was weird and we couldn't recognize it, which is like, I feel like that's very military, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it was this or that, but it was weird and we don't know what it was.
I think her even saying it was weird is more than a normal government person would say. Because, like, she's admitting something abnormal happened.
Yeah. And I think the only reason she can say that is because it's declassified,
Yeah, it
right?
all just
So,
happened recently, right?
yeah, I think it just became declassified within the past like 5 or 10 years. So, um, and there were other ships that had reported similar strange encounters. So something is going on over the ocean.
Yeah. Oh, the ocean's terrifying, though, so.
It is terrifying. And one of the theories is that there are aliens that live in the ocean. So that kind of makes sense if you believe in that theory. There's so much of the ocean that we haven't explored that we can't explore.
Ugh. This is a complete side note, but as Natasha knows, I'm obsessed with vampires and the Vampire Chronicles series. And one of the books is that vampires are in Atlantis in the ocean. I haven't read the book because every time I try to, it's just like, why are there vampires in the ocean?
Yeah, I don't know about the Atlantis part.
And yeah, I don't. I'll read it eventually.
They're combining too many things.
Oh, Anne Rice. I love Anne Rice. May she rest in peace. But she has so many canons that, like, there's
Yeah.
witches, there's vampires. The only thing there isn't is a werewolf. And then she died. So get that
I
money.
mean, when you're that famous, exactly, it's like people will read anything that you write, so you may as well just get real weird with it.
I love that. Get real weird with it.
Yeah, it's from Sunny, Danny DeVito.
Oh, yeah. I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know how much longer I got left on this life or on this earth, so I'm gonna get real weird with it.
See, when I try to say things like that to Lance, he's like, "You're 30. Can you please calm down?"
Yeah, he doesn't understand the context.
Anyway.
Anyway, yeah. Like I said, she's not jumping to conclusions that it was an alien, but she's open to the idea that it was something that could even be man-made. We just don't know what it was. It was just unidentifiable. And one of her main goals now is to reduce the stigma around UFO sightings because she wants people to feel comfortable sharing their experiences without the fear of being labeled crazy, especially in the military. When you say something like that, like, I don't think it goes down very well.
Yeah, especially a woman in the military.
Yeah, right. And after all, a lot of people keep quiet because they don't want to become the town's like UFO person, right?
Yeah.
So by sharing her story, she hopes that people will be more open to talking about what they've seen too. And while the government reports suggest that they still haven't found proof of alien spacecraft, they can't explain what the object was either. This rare footage is one of 3 videos, like I said, that was released by the military featuring objects showing speed and maneuverability far beyond anything our current tech can achieve. So, of course, there's also the concern that it's another country, right? That's like totally just more advanced than us, which, let's be real, that's totally also possible.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe they're spying on us. Who knows?
I
I
mean,
think, yeah.
did we find out what happened with the drones?
I think I think the military did claim them, or they said that they knew what was going on. Like it wasn't anything for us to be concerned about. Last I heard.
I think we're so desensitized to things like that now that we're just like, oh, dope, an alien. Oh, dope, another country's watching us. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a drone, it almost feels more like an AI thing to me than like a alien thing.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out in like 10 years what really happened.
Ugh. Who knows? 10 years seems so far away from now, but it's really not.
Yeah. Yeah. And as Dietrich was saying as well, she's really hoping to hear from other pilots and other people in the military that have had similar experiences, because it's just comforting to hear other people have gone through that mix of like shock and confusion and wonder.
Of course.
And just a reminder that you're not alone. And I guess we're not alone, right?
I was going to
In what
say
we've,
that has multiple connotations.
yeah. Um, Yeah. So it's definitely an overdue conversation. I mean, not that people haven't talked about those experiences in the military, but now that the military is like releasing this information, I think that that opens a lot of doors for people. And yeah, that's all for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. And if you've had any strange sightings of your own, we would love to hear from you. You can put in an anonymous, or you can add your name if you want, a story on our website, strangesisterspod.com. And we'll catch you in the next one. Stay strange.